and money. But of course, what none of us knew was that the girls who I'd spoken to were only the tip of the iceberg.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. We're going to talk to you guys about the recent Epstein documentary part 1. We'll probably do a 4-part series of this, but just give my kind of review and commentary on it. Hey, if you're new to the channel, do me and do yourself a favor. Like, share, and subscribe, and then click on that bell button for the notification of the uploads, baby. For those of you who are returnees, then you already know the gang sign. You ain't got the minerals, you ain't got the minerals. Gang. Alright, listen, let's go. So yeah, talking about obviously the Epstein documentary, I watched the first episode, and what I would say is that it's scary, innit? And I think just to bring a conclusion before I start delving into the actual thing, to see someone who has that much power, that is able to do the things that he did. There were so many girls that he brought underneath his umbrella and created what we call a sexual pyramid scheme. Yeah, it's wicked, it's evil, but the ingenious of it is crazy. That's a sign of a mad person, right? That the person could think to bring in a sexual pyramid scheme, right? He had these girls who were all of them underage, okay, who would come give him, the way he would draw them in, like your normal ACN or whatever pyramid scheme that they say you can make money off. He would bring them in, and what they would do, the girl would, first of all, give him a massage, and they'll be said you'd earn £200 for 45 minutes, right? So as a young girl, you're thinking to yourself, okay, $200, 45 minutes, I just got a massage an old guy. All right, why not? You know, they're young, they were coming from, and the thing is, it's very, very clever. These girls were coming from very impoverished, I would say vulnerable backgrounds. I shouldn't even say impoverished. Vulnerable background. I mean, he eventually started living obviously in Palm Beach, I believe it's Florida, and there's, before you get to there's like a town or whatever where the financial situation of people is not that as great, right? And so he's pulling girls from this particular place and all around as well, and you know, he starts pulling them in to come to the house in Palm Beach. And what they do is they massage, do it for 45 minutes, they get the £200, but then he goes, obviously then after they've done that, then he begins to preclude, obviously he turns over and then he wants you to massage other parts of his body, and then he'll ask them potentially for sex or whatever, right? And then he would ask you to then go and bring someone else into the fold, right? And then you'll get £200 on top of that. So imagine you're getting £200 for doing your job, then £200 for a referral. You know, it's looking at good money. And the girls who were obviously chosen were vulnerable. And one of the things I've noticed about him is that what I noticed also in guys as well. Men are very, very versed in spotting the vulnerability of a woman. This is why when men are preying on certain women, they look for the vulnerabilities and the weaknesses that they don't have to speak to you. They just see it. You understand?
Case is that he targeted girls that were so vulnerable. And this is something that most sexual predators do.
They smell it like his blood. And that's the same thing that he was doing, you know, for the first few. And after that, he doesn't need to, because after that, the other girls are then recruiting other girls who are also in vulnerable, more than likely financial situations where they want to make a bit of quick cash. And the motto, I guess the motto goes in that nothing quick is normally worthwhile, in the sense of the fact that it's not hard earned, and therefore there's always some kind of a catch-22 or some kind of underlying thing that I got to do underneath everything. So I think that's always interesting. We obviously start this particular episode from very front, where there was a young girl who was working, who was doing education, and then obviously she also was a painter, if you want to call it, an artist, right? And she was selling her paintings. And one thing that really strikes me about this is Epstein is not working alone. And nobody knows where he gets his wealth from. This is the crazy thing, right? But yeah, you know, the girl was obviously, you know, doing her artistry piece. She got a gallery piece, and she sold all her pieces. Now, she sold her piece for, what was it, $14,000 or $12,000, whatever. And sold the other piece as well, like $3,000 or $6,000, whatever a piece, right? But she sold everything. And then Epstein with his girl, with whatever her name is, Giselle or whatever, comes over, and the woman who obviously is running the gallery says to the young girl, hey, look, Epstein wants to buy your piece. You'll let him buy it, and you'll do it as a discount because he's somebody who invests in this gallery. And it's like, hold on, my man has that much power that he's able to say those things. He has that much power that the woman would tell the young girl to unsell your painting and give it to Epstein. I can only wonder what would happen if the guy who she sold it to said, "No, you sold it now. We shooken it, everything." What could have happened to him? And the paintings that were there are the first warning of something that doesn't even sit right with me. A young pubescent girl, the drawing is of, and then he's buying it. First of all, I don't know why it's been drawn, but then he's buying it. And that's where we get to start to see the kind of unraveling of the tale, right? And it doesn't go on, it doesn't finish there, because obviously the young girl then gets gets half the price of what she would have got for the painting. But he says, obviously, look, don't worry, we'll make it up to you.
I said, well, I've already sold it. And she said, that's too bad. You're going to tell them that it's not sold and you're selling to this couple. They're very important benefactors.
Right? Now, Giselle's a part of this. I don't know why Giselle got off, because this woman also is a part of it. Now, she may have been herself been under duress and coercion, but she a part of it. You understand? And so obviously now, when the girl obviously gets invited to the house, I mean, this is such a crazy thing. What scares me, I think, the most is the fact that there are other men like Epstein, because he wasn't acting alone. Obviously, Epstein was obviously good friends with someone like Donald Trump, who said who shot him out and said, listen, last 15 years, they've known each other and they like young, and he noticed that they like young girls being around him, right? This is not just Epstein on his own. I want you to let you know, this guy has so much power, but it's not Epstein on his own. Do you understand? Yes, he was doing very clever stuff to make sure these young girls wouldn't be raising suspicion. Obviously, it eventually get caught. But this doesn't seem like he was acting alone. There were other people in the ball game that were aiding him, that were giving him alibis, that were getting him off stuff. Because the amassing of power comes from somewhere. Yeah, it's not your own. You do things to amass this level of power and influence and control over people. For instance, the reporter that was reporting the original story of the girl that had a painting was asked to run this story by the Vanity Fair editor at the time, Mr. Mark Gavron or whatever his name is, right? And then obviously when the story then changed to the fact that there was these alleged sexual abuses and sexual harassments that were going on with Epstein. Then suddenly Epstein's influence then overarched onto the woman who was writing the story, saying, I can make it very difficult for you. Basically, you're gonna go to a hospital. I know every hospital, blah blah blah. And he ain't bluffing. Again, that should let you know that this is not just. Listen, if he's threatening her by saying, I know what hospital, he's not saying, listen, he's not going to do it himself. His tentacles reach further out. This is why I said it's a power position equals responsibility to serve the people. But when you have power and position and your heart is wicked, you understand? The Bible says the heart is wicked above all things. It's deceitful. The heart, someone can look like they are an angel of light, but they really are a devil. And it's what the Bible says, that the devil comes like an angel of light. And this is exactly what Epstein was doing. Presenting himself like this great guy, who's this great Gatsby kind of nice guy, who's good looking, he's a nice person, entertaining, and everything like that. When really there's wickedness in the heart. Yeah? To the point where this woman who was complaining about the situation went to the FBI. Now let me just deep this. Federal Bureau, investigating whatever they're called, yeah, went to the FBI to pronounce this, and what happened? It gets swept under the rug.
When I called the FBI, I laid it out very specifically, and I could tell that he believed me. So I really had believed that he was going to take care of this. And then we just actually...
That lets you know that the kind of influence and power that somebody has, that even the FBI sweeps out underneath the rug. It wasn't time yet. Yeah, and let me tell you something about these alleged crews. Like, those who are assessing power like this, I call it there's a brotherhood. You understand? There is a circulation of brotherhood that they can get away with so much because they run certain things. in our society. It's our system. It's what the Bible says, 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4, that Satan is the god of this world, meaning that the devils are the god of this world. They have systems in place that allow demonic energy, principalities and powers and wickedness to exist and to roam. Now, if you don't believe in that, then call it what you want. You can call it as man of mass and power. I say there's something higher than even man that gives these men a different level of power. Do you understand? That is beyond the eye and the naked eye. But anyway, so, you know, all of this pedophilic behavior, you know, it was scary to watch it. And the fact that obviously, you know, this guy was doing it for years on end. And then not only that, then he dies in prison later on. Or dies, whatever, however he dies, whatever. That's why I say to you, listen, nothing is as it seems. Because this guy had secrets. He knew things. Because he had high-powered people. He was friends with Prince Andrew from UK. He was friends with Donald Trump. Friends with other, you know, other high-esteemed characters in our society. Someone would have known what he was doing. Someone would have known what else he was doing. So this death of his, and notice now you have to notice something. Information like this comes out when people die. There's a reason. The Bible says that the blood of Abel cries out for vengeance, but Jesus Christ cries out, I think you talk about cries out for like peace or whatever, right? You see that when we talk about DNA always speaks. Just like you could be dead, but the DNA will be there. If they can get the blood, even though you are dead, the DNA will speak. You understand? So the tales and the stories live on with people, and so now when someone's dead, a bit like Jimmy Savile, and the paedophilic behavior, these paedophiles have been exposed when they die. Well, hold on. What's going on when they're living? Because they can't be the only ones that know these things. There are multiple cases that are being reported and being swept underneath the rug, which means there are many people out there who know the truth. That should let us know the kind of system and the world that we live in. All right.
I was his right-hand man. But what about the girl that recruited me? What happened to her? What about the girl that recruited me?
And just even saying that as well, there was far too much energy for the girl that was helping recruit other girls. Like the police looked like they were just on her tip saying that she done something illegal, but this girl was also 16, she was a victim. Like she was a victim. And see, the police had vibranium for her, but they didn't have it for Epstein. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so when we're looking at these cases, it's easy to say, oh, you should have known better, but the girl was 16. She was young. The guy was a full-blown adult. He knew exactly what he was doing. This is why having relationships with younger girls or younger boys even is against the law, because they're not of the same ilk or mind and have not matured to a certain level to be able to discern certain things when the manipulation is taking place. This is why we protect them. So the full force of guilt this woman feels now for bringing people into the fold is so sad, because I can understand the guilt, but also at the same time she hasn't been admonished to say, hey, look, you were 16, you were young, you were naive, you didn't know no better. You know what I'm saying? Hungry for money. Yes, we were all hungry at money for that young age. And just to kind of even just show you the kind of level of power, just to end it on this as well. The head of the editor of Vanity Fair had to change the article that went out, right? He found on his doorstep, a beheaded animal, I can't remember what it was, and a bullet on his doorstep.
I got a phone call from Graydon. He was pretty spooked because he'd found a severed cat's head in his garden. He also found a bullet on his doorstep.
I want you to understand this. It's a clear sign that you will be next. Do you understand? A bullet on your doorstep and a beheaded animal means that you are next. You're treading on thin ice. Now, Epstein wouldn't have done it himself. He wouldn't have gone there. He would have got someone else to go and do it. Do you understand? So this is a kind of far-reaching behavior that for when you talk about paedophilia rings and stuff like that, it won't come out straight away. Yeah? And people will say, nah, it's conspiracy theory. Well, we've got one here. One guy's life is showing us that these things are happening in the echelons of power. Who else is also a part of this? Anyway, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. We'll talk about episode 2 coming up. Alright? So, more love, more shade. Do me a favor though. Like, share, and subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of the uploads, and make sure you grab yourself one of these, man. Get yourself a hoodie. Join the gang. Minerals. Appreciate you.